What is going on, everybody? It's your observant lineman here, Uche Nwaneri, and we have our very first breakdown, our very first O-line breakdown of the 2021 NFL season. And today I'm bringing you guys a breakdown of the Tennessee-Arizona game. This was Tennessee's home opener, and as we all know, they took quite the shellacking, 38-13, to the Arizona Cardinals. This is going to be some ugly film. Let me just go ahead and give you that warning ahead of time. This is going to be ugly for Taylor. A lot of plays here, and I mean, I just picked out ones that I could actually speak on and kind of coach up a little bit. To start the game, we've got just a typical drop back pass. Now, the thing that I want to point out in this play in particular is really this should never happen to an offensive lineman. We're looking at our front here. We got our 4 D linemen down here, and we got our 2 linebackers in the middle. This is what we would call a snap front. When you have these 2 linebackers that are sitting in the middle over the center, this is a snap formation. That's what we call it on the offensive line, snap. So basically, with the running back here in the backfield, he's going to end up taking one of these guys if somebody comes, and the center would take the other. You got to protect the A gaps in here. You want to let the furthest man from the quarterback come free if you have to. And you see here we have Budda Baker here. He's lined up on the edge now. What you're going to see as these guys come off the ball is they are going to run what we call a dog blitz. And when you have a dog blitz here, you've got someone coming off the edge, and you've also got a backer coming in the middle of the offense. So they're dogging. This is more of a run blitz in typical circumstances for defenses. But here you're going to have your entire left side of the line, firing off, attacking, pass rushing. You're going to have number 9 here. He's going to be coming through as a rusher. They did a really good job on defense using number 9 as a dynamic pass rusher in certain situations. And that really, again, put a lot of stress on the Tennessee Titans offensive line. You're going to see a ET here, or I'm sorry, a TE. The tackle is going to be firing upfield, and Chandler Jones is going to be swooping inside, looping to the inside to try and penetrate into the A gaps. But Budda Baker here is the one I want you to pay attention to, because his matchup is against a left tackle who has been highly touted over the years as one of the top left tackles in football. But on this play here, a lot of crucial mistakes made by Taylor Lewan, both in his set, both in the position that he took as a pass protector. And, one thing that is always, as an offensive lineman, you don't want to get in a situation where you're having trouble with the defensive back. That's basically as blunt as I could put it. And in this play, he gets pretty much annihilated by Budda Baker, which Budda Baker is a good player. But let's be real, as an offensive lineman, if I see a 160-pound, 195-pound, 5'10" Budda Baker coming against me, a 6'7", 309-pound Taylor Lewan, I am licking my chops, because all you have to do is set nice and balanced, get your hands on him, and sit on the block. Right here, you look at Taylor Lewan, both his feet are off the ground. Both of his feet are off the ground. His hips are turned directly to the sideline. He is turned laterally. He has turned his body completely towards the sideline. He's using an inside hand to try and block Budda Baker. Budda Baker sees this instantly and converts an upfield rush into a power rush. And that power rush catches Taylor Lewan at the perfect time with the perfect amount of leverage, and literally puts him on his ass, puts him on his back, not even his ass. All right, now, moving on to the next play here. We've got a play action here, and this, again, when you break it down, when you look at it, there are a lot of things technique-wise that you can look at, and you can easily see that where the issue stands for these Titans. Now, we got our 4 down linemen here identified. This is going to be a play action fake. So on the play action, the main objective for the offensive line is to sell the run. Now, when you're on the front side, and I will give this as full disclosure here, when you're on the front side as a left tackle, and you have to sell the run on a wide defensive end. Now, this was generally the position on the field for the O-line where there's an exception made when you're talking about the technique that you want to use. Yes, you want to come out and you want to be aggressive with your posture, with a run-like demeanor. But for a left tackle, in these cases, you can actually just go ahead and pass set this. You can go ahead and just set with a firm pass set, maybe a three-step, start off with a three-step pass set, and then fall into a widening sort of set where you try to widen that defender using your hands, keep an inside out position on the defender to keep him wide. You don't necessarily need to run cell full and blind into this, because that defensive end has a little bit of an advantage. He's standing up and he's got his eyes in the backfield. So with the rest of your O-linemen here, yes, you do want to sell, because you have a double team here and you have single blocks here with the tight end who's going to help, who's going to be there to kind of provide presence. If he's getting out into a route, he's going to provide a little presence with his release to keep that defensive player from making a wide rush or getting a wide jump into their pass rush. But you want to sit down on all these blocks here. And here you don't have to sell out. You can actually, kind of play it slow to keep that defender wide so he isn't a threat to the quarterback. But here what you're going to see is you're going to see Taylor Lewan bending at the waist. You're going to see him taking big steps instead of actually getting his feet underneath him and getting under control. His hands are going to be late and they're going to be tight inside and near his face. So he's not going to have any kind of leverage. He's not going to have any kind of real position of strength to work from in order to nullify the pass rush of Chandler Jones. And you're going to see that here. It's going to be one big step and he's going to be leaning. You can see here, he's got his legs extended. He doesn't have a base here. He's got his waist leaning over his knee. Chandler Jones is firing out with his hands extended. He's ready to engage. And while his position here is fine at the moment, he is in such a bad position with his body that it doesn't matter if he shoots his hands, because he's going to force himself to basically fall out of the window when he's trying to make this block. And that's going to give Chandler Jones a free run at this quarterback. And you're going to see that he's made it incredibly hard on himself to be able to sit down on this and to give himself the best chance to be successful against this kind of pass rusher. Now, don't get me wrong. Chandler Jones is crafty and he is supremely athletic with how he plays this pass set and gets around Taylor Lewan. But Taylor Lewan has done himself no favors in how he set himself up. That's bad technique. That's technique that will get you beat in situations like this. And when you have a play action where the quarterback has to fake the run and then turn his head immediately to get upfield to look at routes like he does here, he actually does a really good job of sitting in this pocket, because he has a pocket to sit in, but it's closing fast. And even at that, he comes off of his first read and he's looking for his next read. Now, actually, it's a good thing that he didn't throw this here, because there's a good chance that it might have been intercepted because of this defender here who's actually kind of spying on Tannehill and kind of following his eyes here while he's guarding the running back. But you have guys here all in the vicinity to make a play on any throw here. But this sack is a result of bad technique by Taylor Lewan. Now we're coming on to the next play here, and it looks almost exactly the same as the play before. Taylor Lewan has a one-on-one matchup with Chandler Jones. This is a guy who has his best skills are working from the outside to make his move to get to the quarterback. Now we have our 4D linemen here who are identified, and let's take a look here at some of the pass sets that we get from the offensive line. Now, as we're looking at this, a couple things you have to understand about offensive line play. And you're going to see as we roll through this, with this pocket that he has here, you actually have a defensive end looping to the inside here with J.J. Watt. And on this end here, this is a slide protection. You can see that this is a slide protection because the running back is coming to help on the back side of this protection. He's going to pick up anybody coming off the edge, and he's going to try and help on anything that leaks in through the middle. Now here with Taylor Lewan, what you're seeing first and foremost, his leg, he doesn't have really good bend in his knees here in his pass set. His hands are down at his waist. He's not ready to engage with Chandler Jones. While you look at Chandler Jones, who is, they're a pretty good distance apart, but you still see that Chandler Jones has his arms up, his hands extended. He is ready to engage. He's ready to make a move. This is waiting for a move rather than being proactive and striking your opponent, getting into your opponent and drawing a line basically that you're not going to allow him to easily get past. Now here, one thing that Taylor has to consider when you're looking at this protection is look at the left guard. The left guard here has his eyes to Chandler Jones. This is called helping with your eyes. He has his eyes to him. If Chandler Jones makes any move to the inside, he has a left guard to protect him. So what does that mean for the left tackle? That means for the left tackle that you can be more aggressive here to the outside of Chandler Jones to actually force him inside to your help. That is the smart move to make when you know that you're going against a defender who has given you problems on the outside. When you know you have help, use your help. The center is here to help the guard. The center will take over this guard's block if this guard needs to leave to help on an inside move. Taylor decides that he's just going to allow the same outside rush to come as that he's been getting all game. He has a chance here to really use his left guard in helping protect and keep Ryan Tannehill clean. And he gives up the inside because he gives up the outside rather because his hands are late. He's turned, his body is turned. He has no relative position to give himself a chance to keep distance between Chandler Jones and Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill doesn't have a chance here. And it's almost from the outset because of the lack of awareness here on Taylor Lewan's part. His guard is here. His guard is waiting. You can almost overset Chandler Jones to make him feel like you're doing the wrong thing, and he'll take the inside, and you'll have a guard right there ready to help to keep that pocket clean. But this is just really bad in self-awareness from Taylor Lewan. And finally here, you never want to look like this. This should be Taylor Lewan right here. You know you gave that sack up. You know you got beat. Go pick your man up. When you do this and you just begin to walk to the sideline as nonchalantly as he does, it gives off that feeling that you don't care. You don't care about what's going on. You're just walking off. And that, hey, yes, you're having a bad game, but you still have teammates out there who are counting on you. So you need to have their back. If something happens bad, you need to be there to help pick him up, especially when you're the one who causes it to go afoul. And that's my bigger complaint in how he reacts to the situation that he's now found himself in being an offensive tackle who is now struggling to hold the line for his quarterback. Let's move on to the next play, though. Now, there's more things going on here. Another sack, but there's a little bit more nuance to this. And yes, it's Chandler Jones again, but let's take a look here. We got our 4 down. Now, this one, the circle didn't show here because of the graphics being kind of blocked by that logo and the chroma. But here we have a ET stunt that's being run. Now, my first inclination about this situation is that our left guard here is wrong. He is not handling this in the way that he should. Once he realizes that this guy is the looper, he has to close this gap. And that, again, comes to their awareness as a guard and tackle, knowing what the situation is, and understanding that if you're going to be dealing with pass rushers who like to move, as these Cardinals do, then you need to set on the same level so that you can both pass off these defenders without any real problem. And you'll see them do this later on in this film where they pass it really well and it looks good. They're on the same level. They send the defenders on their way. You send them further than they want to go, and you're able to keep them from leaking into pockets. Now, with the ET stunt, the entire goal from your defensive end here is to attack what would be the hip of the left guard so that you can penetrate into the pocket and split these two guys because you have them on different levels. That is part of what the looping defensive tackle's entire motive is in kind of faking the rush and then looping away. What he wants this guard to do is he wants his guard to just for a split second follow him as he loops. Now, what this guard does, he doesn't follow him. What he does is he opens his hip So now you've created a lane here for this spiking defensive end to penetrate. And that's exactly what happens here. You have the ET stunt being run. There's this gap right here, and he is in good position. Chandler Jones is in great position to slide right into that gap, and that's what he does. Now you have a book-ended side of your line that is now been collapsed because your tackle is now opened up. So it's really a very short distance, even for this defensive tackle who's looping, to get back into the pocket. There's no use of the hands here with our left guard. So Chandler Jones, who, watching this film, Chandler Jones has some really good hand movement. He uses his hands very well, almost, I would say, at an elite level, because of the way that he's able to grab wrists, slap arms, dip his shoulder. He creates space for himself to get into gaps, and he does an excellent job of that here because of partially because of the fact that the tackle and the guard are not on the same level, and they're not on the same page, and they're not passing things cleanly in the way that they should be passed. So that really does create a problem for this passer's pocket, and it really doesn't give Ryan Tannehill the kind of space that he's going to need. And even with that, Tannehill does a excellent job of standing in there and just trying to use the pocket the right way. So that is, that's just a lack of understanding of what they're trying to do to keep those guys from actually getting through into the pocket on a game. Now here we have another sack. This one you're going to see a little bit different from the last one, but same kind of concept. And really, I put this one on our right guard here because when the rush starts, and I'm not sure why he does this, but in a slide protection, once again, the running back is to the left. The offensive line has a slide to the right. The center is going to be there to help any inside threat for the guard. The guard should be looking to help on the inside for the tackle if he's engaged with someone. Other than that, you are setting for this defensive tackle. He is your responsibility. You have to set for him. You have to set for him, but know that you have help on the inside. But you don't take your eyes away when there's clearly no one here. He doesn't react as if he knows that this defensive tackle is his guy to block. He should be blocking him first and looking to help in the secondary, looking off to his tackle if there is someone who's threatening at the defensive end position. Now, again, this defensive end decides to go through the tight end to start his pass rush. So this should actually be a pretty easy thing to handle. You shouldn't be split by this defensive tackle, and you really should be engaged with him from the outset. So this center can come and help solidify it to keep the depth of the pocket strong. But here you have none of that, and it breaks down because the center is not able to get over there to help long enough, and this guard is doing what he doesn't need to do at this moment to look to help someone who's 8 yards away. So with that, they get split by the defensive tackle. That's not on the center, that's on the guard. And there you see they're having a conversation there. He has to set this guy. You cannot set to the tackle when you have a 3 technique over you. It just doesn't work like that. Now here we have another. This is an outside run, and this is something that really surprised me about how Tennessee played this game when it came to their run game. This is a team that has had one of the best running attacks in the NFL over the last number of years. And a lot of it has come off of these kind of plays, this outside zone, this lead outside zone. And this play, there are a lot of things that go wrong that really keep this from being a successful play. Now, you've got 8 in the box. If you're looking at it, you got 4 down, but you have a known rusher here, and you have your linebackers here. So you got really 5 on 5. Now, the problem that we have to begin this, or what you need to know rather about a pitch like this, an outside zone pitch, this is a fast-paced play where it's essential that you get your lineman up to the second level. And what you're going to see here is that really for most of the offensive line, including the tight ends, including the wide receiver and Julio Jones, they get this entire line on the front side of the play reached, which is actually a really good thing. That's really good. You get them reached. You have a lane that's already naturally developed from these reach blocks. Now, what's next? What's going to be crucial next for this entire play is that these guys get a hat on a hat. You have your tight end here, you have your left tackle here, and you have your guard on the backside. This is the most important block on this entire play. Of all of the technique or all of the scheme that this run play brings, this is the most important block. Why? Because this guard, who is far less of an athlete than this outside linebacker or inside linebacker, he has to be able to take an angle to the mesh point of this block that will get him in front of this linebacker. So you have to come off the ball with a lead step. You have to have a lead step coming off the ball, and you have to get flat, but you have to get there fast. He should be running at an angle to get to this hash mark in order to get to properly block him here. And what you're going to see is that he's outrun because he wasn't flat enough in his angle to get in front of this linebacker. So even with these guys somewhat taken care of here, the main threat comes from this position, because what you want at the end of the day is you want to have a hat on a hat with this guy running him by because he's got the inside leverage here rather than being on the backside of him. And you want it to be a one-on-one matchup between this safety here and the running back. That is a well-executed run to have this guy and this guy as the only free bodies in this play, because now your running back is working with space and he is able to make moves to avoid being tackled. But here, as you see, you're on the backside of your defender. He has control over this situation. He has control over this, and the safety is there as he should be, and they knock it out for little to no gain during that play. All right, so let's take a look at another play here. This is another run play. Now, this one, again, there are some things that are pretty fundamental when it comes to blocking on the O-line that didn't seem to get executed very well in this play. Once again, we have our down linemen here. We identify them. We know who they are. And with this, we're running an outside zone. Again, now with this, you do have to come off the ball. You have to fire off the ball at left tackle. You have to widen this defensive end. If he gets upfield, it's not a total loss so long as you're widening him and keeping him from penetrating immediately into the backfield. Now, on the front side of this, you've got a reach block here. The center is going to protect this reach block. So you can come off the ball and you can fire at that outside shoulder, at the outside half of this defensive tackle, because if he moves inside or he takes a step to the inside, then your center is going to naturally take over that block and your guard will move up to the backer. Now, on this backside, this is going to be huge because this guy and this guy, or right guard and a right tackle, are going to have an option that they're going to have to make a decision on pretty quickly. Now, typically what would happen here is that this defensive tackle is going to get, you're going to come off the ball at right guard to the inside to try and get that shoulder turned up the field. And you're going to try and press through to get up to this backer. It's not going to be clean, but it can be done pretty methodically with the help of the tackle coming, reaching into the line of scrimmage here and taking over half of this block. Now, there's two things that this tackle has to be aware of. If this moves away from him, if that defender moves away, then he needs to go straight. He needs to get on that flat path and get upfield to this second level. If this guy hangs back by any way at all, if he's late or if he's by design stunning across to come this way, this tackle is going to have to take over that block quick because this guard has to get out and get up to the second level. It's not an easy block to make. It's not an easy thing to execute, but if you have done this a lot, if you've got a lot of repetition at it, then you should, your muscle memory should take over and you should be able to rely on that to give you a feel. Now, there's also going to need to be a communication here between them. If this tackle, who will have a better look at it to a certain extent than this guard will, if he sees that if he recognizes that this guy's coming towards him, he can give a quick signal to this guard during the play. Say, go, go, go. So that this guard knows to get out, to get off and get out. You got to go get the backer. He's taking over this defensive tackle. That's something that you work on and you learn as you get more experience on the field, but you have to know which way you want to go with it because you have different options you can take here, as you can see with that animation. If he goes away, like right here, this tackle should be taking over this block. This guard should be getting up to the second level. I think that this guard actually expected that his tackle would take over this block because of the movement that this guy made. And when it didn't happen, that's where you see him kind of double back to try and save it. That is an error in communication here. That's an error in repetition and not being able to trust and know that, you know, what you've been taught from a technique standpoint will take over when you get into this situation. So like you see here, he should be going up and this guy should be taking over the defensive tackle. Now here with the center sees this, he's covered up. He's trying to reach this guy. He's covered up. The center should be moving up to the second level here to take over on this backer. There's not really anything you can do here to push this left guard through to get up to the backer. It's just not going to happen. He's fully engaged. They're covered up. The center needs to just bail on that and get straight up field to try and help or try and take over on that block. He's going to be late, but again, you have to be able to recognize these things while you're taking those steps, while you're firing off the ball. And it happens where you'll see a center who takes one step, sees that this guy is covered up, that reach block is not going to be able to push up, and they immediately plant that foot in the ground and get straight up the field. Now here, Taylor Lewan, this is the problem that I'm having when I see how he's blocking in this game. He's bending at the waist a lot. I know he had a torn ACL last year. Maybe there is something that is not allowing him from a structural standpoint in that knee, maybe not being strong enough in that quad muscle. Maybe he's not able to really get the bend that he could get with that knee, and that's compromising his leverage and his technique a little bit. But he's leaning here. He's got his hands out in front of him. He's got his legs behind him. He never got a second step into the ground. If you've watched any of my breakdown videos, you know that the second step is the most crucial part in the run game. You have to get that second step in the ground before you make contact, and as you make contact, to provide you with the power that your leverage and your hands will give you as you try to control that block. And here he's leaning. He's got his eyes down. He's got his hands down. And when your eyes are down, your body will go down with it. And that's exactly what we have here with him. And it leads to an ugly, ugly tackle for a loss. And again, you just caused that. You did. Say something. Grab him by the, try to pick him up. Try to not let him have to feel like he's being hung out to dry by his O-line. Look at him. Tell him, my bad. That's on me. The body language says a lot. And these defenders, they see that too. And they're getting there and they're eating from it. They're living from it. Their energy is building from it. The mentality has to be that you do whatever it takes to stop them from being able to feel like this. And if you can't, then own up to it with your guys right then and there so that they know that you see, and it's your fault, and you're accepting that responsibility. But you just walk by him. He's getting off the ground by himself. I know whenever Maurice Jones-Drew got tackled, whether it was for a loss or for a gain, if I was in the vicinity, I'm over there trying to pick him up. I'm either letting him know good job or I'm saying, hey, we are bad. Something like that. But that body language matters. It really does matter. And players see it and they notice it, and that is something that you have to be cognizant of as a professional athlete.